thank you all for being here. Super excited to present you some demos of what we've shipped in the past few days. It's been a busy week at OpenAI. So last week, we introduced new agent tools in the platform. And so what that meant was the ability for all of you developers and builders to build better agents. That includes new tools that I'm going to show you in action, and also a new agents SDK in Python first and TypeScript to come. And just today, we also launched 3 new models for speech-to-text and text-to-speech, state-of-the-art models with the ability to kind of instruct the models to perform voice and intonation in a particular way. So I'm going to try to give you a quick flyby on all of this. Maybe some of these demos will be familiar for all of you fans who have watched the live streams carefully, but we'll try to steer them in a few different directions. So let's get us started here on the screen. So imagine we're building a very simple assistant here to start. And what we introduced first last week was a new API called the Responses API. And so the Responses API is for us the way to kind of offer tools that are completely built in just a few lines of code. So here, for instance, if we're looking on the right side, I have a very basic assistant with GPT-4o, and I will just give it one tool, a file search. So no need to perform any kind of chunking, embedding of my files. I can simply link a vector store, and in which case my assistant will be able to get the information directly from the user file. So in this case, I uploaded just one file in this vector store directly on the dashboard, which is a giant book actually of 100 megabytes that I bought from Lonely Planet. And so what I can do now is I can kick off this assistant and I can start the conversation and say hi to start. And I can ask first, according to the book I bought, what's the best place to shop in Milan? And so this should kick off the file search tool and actually look inside. And there we go. It said that according to the book, it was the golden quadrangle. So let's take a look. This is the book, by the way. So this is a very comprehensive PDFs. But I'm just going to go ahead and check out here. Golden. There you go. So that's exactly extracted from the book, and just a couple lines of code, uploading a PDF. No need to compute the embeddings. You have the file search tool right away to build great assistants. But that's not all. We also had introduced a second tool, which is the web search tool. And the web search tool is the exact same thing you'd use typically in ChatGPT to actually have real-time information from the web. So in this case, I'm going to add the file search tool and say that, for instance, I can pass the user location too. So we'll pretend we're currently in Italy, and I'll put the city Milan. Now, if I go back to this conversation, I say, one of the top 3 shops around me. So that should naturally use the web search tool. And there you go, we have a web search call. I didn't even update the instructions, really should have, and said hey, you have a web search tool, but the model was smart enough to figure it out. And it found out the top 3 places around me from the web. So this is really, really powerful, because now in just that one line, the web search tool, you can actually get real-time information and not be bound to the knowledge cutoff of the models anymore. And when you start thinking about structured outputs that you also have on those models, if you have structured outputs plus a web search tool, you can actually have an API for literally anything on the web. So it's pretty powerful as you're thinking about the applications you can build with real-time information and the knowledge from these models. Cool. So that's a quick preview of 2 tools. And the third one, I'm actually going to just reset this a little bit so we have everything in one screen. The third tool that's also very exciting is the computer use tool. So the idea is that we introduce a new model called CUA, or computer use agent. And the idea behind that is to let vision capabilities from this CUA model drive what you should do to navigate on a website or any kind of graphical user interface. So if we go back here now, start a new conversation, and if I say, can you buy a pair of common projects sneakers from their website, size 43? So that ideally, let's see if this live demo works. So I have, yes, I'll say that sounds great. I have a local Docker container running on my machine, and there we go. So that's a live screenshot of what's happening on the Docker container. And now the CUA assistant here will try to go ahead and navigate on the internet to find out like how to buy these things. So it's opening Firefox now as we speak. It's probably going to try to Google the website for common projects, because I obviously did not instruct which website. So it's probably going to type that in the URL. And so what happens is this loop where like on every step of the process, a screenshot is being taken, sent to the Kua model, and Kua knows what to do based on that. So maybe it's pressing a key, maybe it's like clicking at very precise coordinates, maybe it's like scrolling, typing, and so on. So we won't watch it all together, but I can promise you it would go all the way to actually put the pair of sneakers in the cart. So when you start combining all of these tools in just a few lines of code, you can build something quite compelling for your own products and apps. Cool. But now, how do you wrap this all together? Like I could typically create like more tools, more functions, and wrap this all together. But imagine my app and my stylus assistant becomes a bit more sophisticated. What if I want to add like a customer service agent? What if I want to add a third agent? Now, like my responses API call would become very convoluted, and the instructions could be quite hard to read. And that's exactly why we introduced the Agents SDK. So what I've done here is that you have basically the exact same thing we've done before with just two tools to make things a little simpler with the file search and the web search. But this time around, it's wrapped inside the Agents SDK. And what that lets me do is a few different things. So first of all, we'll have a new agent here, which is the triage agent. And we're now able to separate concerns. We are able to say, hey, we have a triage agent. Here are the instructions, and you're able to hand off to one of two different agents. And we also added like the customer support agent. And the idea behind like handoffs is pretty powerful because it's very simple, but the idea is like you have a conversation and you'll have state. You'll be able to just pass that state to another agent that has its own instructions and tools. So in this case, we have a triage agent, the customer support agent, and take a look at this. That's very interesting. The customer support agent, I can simply pass Python functions directly to it. So customer support, for instance, will be able to find my past orders and refund an order. And those Python functions is all I need to pass to the customer support agent. The rest will be taken care of. So if we take a quick look at this here, oops, let's remove this sidebar. If I basically say now, what are my latest orders? The triage agent has transferred me automatically to the customer support agent because it knows this is kind of the capabilities of that second one. And now it's able to fetch my past orders. And if I say, please refund the latest one, now it will be able to also call that Python function we have to submit the refund request. And so what's really cool is that not only do we have this SDK, but you can also introspect what's happening behind the scenes. So if I go here to the traces, like for instance, this was just the request before where I was asking to like get my latest orders, automatically got a handoff to the customer support agent. The customer support agent took over, was able to send a post here to the responses API, get the past orders directly in a JSON format, and then ultimately do another post to find what I needed. So it's really interesting because you now have this SDK, but also the ability to introspect what's happening behind the scenes. So that kind of wraps up the three tools we launched last week, the Agents SDK, currently in Python that I showed you, but JavaScript also coming soon. And maybe in a couple of minutes, I also wanted to give you a glimpse into what we just launched this morning in case you missed it. So we launched two new models for speech to text, for transcriptions, very state-of-the-art models, but also one for like text-to-speech. And so when you think about building agents, of course, you may not want to have just text agents. You may also want to have a voice modality in your agent. What if this customer service agent is actually taking place on the phone when I place a phone call? Well, now you'll be able to do that. So some of you might have already seen and played with like ChatGPT Advanced Voice Mode. We've offered the real-time API now for quite some time. I'm actually not sure what the sound system here will be, but we can try. Actually, if I start a session here, let's see what happens. Hi there.
Hey there. Welcome to the AI Demo Day in San Francisco, hosted at Cloudflare.
Cool,
It's
cool.
awesome to
I
have
think that's great. Can you whisper a secret about SF that only the true locals would know?
Sure. Here's a whispered secret for you. Beneath the streets of San Francisco, there's a hidden network.
So this was the ability, right, to do real-time interactions with the models. And we've had that now with ChatGPT and with the API for quite some time. But what we've also learned is that many of you are trying to build voice agents. And what you need is like a powerful way to have something in between, right? If you want to call your own tools, your own functions. And so we've actually launched today these models, but also the ability to have direct support with the agents SDK I just showed you. And so the idea is that now you can have a great transcribe model first, your code for all of your tools and agents, and ultimately a great text-to-speech model at the very end. And so what that means is that when you put everything together, this is basically like all the code we've seen earlier, like a couple of different agents that have different instructions and handoffs. Now, in just a few lines of code here, you can now have a full pipeline that actually takes care of like inputs and outputs for audio. But last but not least, the real cool thing about the model that we launched today for text-to-speech is now the ability to really have like the real-time API, but even more powerful, the ability to instruct the model on how the voice should sound, what's the vibe, what's the character and the persona. So we launched this demo that some of you might have seen on Twitter this morning called OpenAI.fm. And the idea is really to like pick a voice, pick a vibe, and you can start playing with a script and see how you can affect change to the way the voice behaves. So let's try one here.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to AI Demo Days in San Francisco, kindly hosted at the Cloudflare office. Hope you all enjoy the live demos and connecting with all the great builders in the audience tonight.
Cool. What do we fancy? What do we want to change? What kind of style do we want? Should we try cowboy? I don't know. I haven't tried this one.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to AI Demo Days in San Francisco. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to AI Demo Days in San Francisco, kindly hosted at the Cloudflare office.
Cool. What should we make it say? One more time, maybe one last thing. Let's see. Oh, Santa was up here. Mad scientist? We tried mad scientist. Let's try mad scientist.
Ah ha ha ha! The stars tremble before my genius. The rift is open, the energy surging, unstable, perhaps dangerous, most certainly. Captain Ryland's hand.
So that gives you an idea of how you can prompt these voices and really have them like, you know, have these different personas. And everything that's written here, you can actually affect and change. Like you want to speak faster, louder, with maybe an accent, maybe like a different style. All of that is now steerable with these voices. So you can really like play with all of these and hopefully bring voice agents that are really, really awesome. So that's all I had to share with you, but I can't wait to see what you guys are going to build with our tools and with these new voice models. Thank you.
Any question?
Time for one, maybe.
Time for one. All right.
Hey, thanks. That was a really cool demo.
Thank you.
I'm curious, so at like a practitioner level, do you have some guidance on what the limits of the new responses API are? So like what types of files maybe we shouldn't upload, whether it's like size or lots of images and things like that. And what you've seen in the past week.
For sure, yeah. I mean, what's interesting is like the responses API is actually like the new incarnation from what we launched as a beta called the Assistance API back in the days. And we've learned a ton from that because in fact, the file search tool that we initially had in the Assistance was the first like draw to actually use Assistance. But the challenge was that for most people, it meant actually creating like threads and messages and an assistant object and then uploading their files, but then having a run and their tools. It was like kind of 6 different concepts to like assemble together. And so responses took that with like a very simple approach using the exact same capabilities of file search. So currently it's like roughly the same, like same number of files. We have like lots of extensions for all of your files from like CSVs, PDF, HTML, and so on. But we're going to continue to improve and give more knobs to developers so that they can actually control a little bit how the chunking is being made, what kind of context size to use, etc. But for launch, it was pretty similar and on par with the Assistance API, just much, much simpler to use.
Can I ask one more? Okay. I am curious about like guardrails that you have for the text to speech. So like what kind of outputs for like vibes would be rejected? Is there just like having a TTS impersonate certain accents? Will that be rejected outright by the model or?
Yeah, we're continuing to learn a ton from this, and you'll see, like, I think there's like a lot of great vibes already and personas and accents that you can do. Like, we came a long way because like a few months ago, even like accents and voices in different languages were really, really tough. But we'll keep on learning, and we try to always have the kind of like more conservative approach, and as we go, enable more things over time rather than having to take away some stuff. But yeah, we can't wait to see what people will build because that's always how we learn the best. Thank you.
Thank you.